Talk about USA basketball. Did a video yesterday afternoon late that Caitlin Clark is among a number of participants that's headed to the senior training camp for Team USA. Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the...
You would assume, right? Oh, they have surely learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the man. This thing just exploded and hit the league like a ton of bricks, completely destroying any idea that things were getting better. Just as everyone was celebrating Clark getting that invite to the senior training camp, a new graphic comes out. It was supposed to be a welcome from Team USA, but the face people were looking for simply wasn't there. The most important game-changing player in women's basketball was just, it felt like, a deliberate slap in the face. A public benching that kicked off a massive controversy and left fans absolutely furious over the disrespect. This wasn't just some mistake. It was a loud and clear message, and the total silence from the people in charge. It was absolutely deafening.
Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the Olympics. By the way, of which the guy that runs the 2028 Olympics, he come out and said he thought it was a terrible idea leaving her off the team. Adam Silver said, hey, I think this was an opportunity that they could have had to have grown women's sports. Something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to...
And look, this is not the first time it has happened. The memory of that whole Olympic roster disaster still really stings. That was when Clark was somehow left off the team, even with a massive public outcry. A lot of people thought, and it seems pretty foolish now, that USA basketball had actually learned its lesson from that huge mistake. But here, we are again watching another completely baffling decision that once again shoves the growth of women's sports onto the back burner. The pattern is so obvious. Now, they treat Caitlin Clark's incredible popularity like it is some kind of problem instead of seeing it as this massive, incredible opportunity. It is a huge strategic mistake that is costing the sport so much and confusing everyone.
Women's sports. Something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to... Does I said NBC should have been furious that she was not on the Olympic team. They would have shattered... They might have shattered potentially actual Olympic basketball records, maybe outside of the old Dream Team kind of records, right? Back when television ratings in general were just higher because there was no streaming services, yada, yada, yada. But you get my point. It'd have been a huge rating.
You would assume, right? Oh, they have surely learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the man. This thing just exploded and hit the league like a ton of bricks, completely destroying any idea that things were getting better. Just as everyone was celebrating Clark getting that invite to the senior training camp, a new graphic comes out. It was supposed to be a welcome from Team USA, but the face people were looking for simply wasn't there. The most important game-changing player in women's basketball was just, it felt like, a deliberate slap in the face. A public benching that kicked off a massive controversy and left fans absolutely furious over the disrespect. This wasn't just some mistake. It was a loud and clear message, and the total silence from the people in charge. It was absolutely deafening.
Rating. Instead, they continue to treat Caitlin Clark like she's a leper. What are we doing? What are we doing? The WNBA, Team USA... I don't understand. And when I did my video last night, I had not seen this. Shit, I got up this morning and I seen it now. And we'll get to the reaction. By the way, heads up, Christine Brennan's the one that really caught my eye on this. And, you know,
just try to imagine how furious NBC must have been, or at least how frustrated they should have been. If Clark had been on that Olympic team, the TV ratings would have absolutely shattered records. We could have been talking about numbers that were up there with the legendary Dream Team, especially considering how people watch media these days. Instead, that golden opportunity was just completely wasted. All that potential for unbelievable ratings was just left sitting on the table. It wasn't just a When for women's basketball, it was a guaranteed ratings bonanza for the broadcasters, a massive financial and cultural moment just deliberately thrown away. It is an incredibly short-sighted move that cost millions in potential money and exposure.
Had added the photo of one other player to this graphic, but no. I'm going to keep it real. She's the only player I'd have put on that graphic. The only player. I mean, at some point, this women's basketball has got to quit worrying about hurting people's little feelings. Siri, do you want to grow or do you not want to grow? I mean, you put Kaylee Copper, okay, Kelsey Plum, and I'm guessing this is probably Chelsea Gray, right?
The latest thing that really set the fans off was a post from a well-known sports journalist, Christine Brennan. She pointed out something so simple yet so powerful. If USA Basketball truly wanted to promote the sport and bring in new fans, they obviously would have put Caitlin Clark front and center on their promotional graphics. Her critique was simple but devastating, and it went viral. It got over 250,000 views and put USA Basketball in a really defensive spot. It was just this clear, undeniable proof that the public could see right through the organization's weak attempts to engage people, showing a huge difference between what they claim their mission is and what they actually do more than. Caitlin Clark. I remember seeing the graphic itself was so telling. Sure, it featured other really talented players, like Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray, but it was so obvious who was missing.
Than Caitlin Clark. And I paid attention then long enough to throw up in a bucket. I mean, this is nuts. USA women's basketball is back. 18 athletes will attend December 12th through the 14th, Durham, North Carolina. By the way, you want to know one reason why the ratings were down for the last Olympics on women's basketball? People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team.
The one athlete who has without a single doubt become the face of the entire sport was just gone. You could feel the sentiment all over social media. People were saying things like, "Who are these players again?" Now this isn't about disrespecting the other athletes. It is about actually acknowledging a global phenomenon. USA Basketball seems determined to prioritize its own internal politics over basic common sense, refusing to put their most recognizable and marketable player out in front. It is a completely baffling strategy that is actively working against the goals they claim to have. They should have seen this coming. Because look, that first Olympic snub had real consequences. A lot of fans actually boycotted women's basketball game. The viewership for those events completely plummeted, and it was a direct, undeniable result of Clark being excluded.
People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team. I remember. That was a huge story on this channel. A huge story. So, a lot of people noticed Christine's post. It got over 250,000 views. And it looks to me like that USA Basketball chose to leave the conversation.
This wasn't just a few people complaining online. It was a measurable, collective action from a really passionate fan base. The message was sent loud and clear back then, but it seems like USA Basketball deliberately ignored the numbers. Now with this latest incident, the chance of alienating even more fans and seeing those viewership numbers drop again is very real. It really seems like they are determined to repeat their past mistakes, no matter the cost. You are not the only one who thinks so. The public backlash got so intense that USA Basketball started to quietly pull down their own social media posts that had that controversial graphic. The main post is still up, but it is just getting absolutely crushed by negative comments and overwhelming criticism. This quick retreat, even though it is not a full apology, speaks volumes. It shows they know there is a huge storm brewing and they are desperately trying to control the story. But in today's world of instant information, moves like that just make the original snub look even worse, digging the hole even deeper.
Failed to grow women's basketball at the 2024 Olympics. This is a continuing story. They learned nothing. They learned nothing. They are still fighting the CC motion with everything they have. Did I watch the last Olympics without CC? Nope. Will I watch this team with CC? Yes. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one.
For decades, the mission for a group like USA Basketball has been two things: win medals and grow the sport. But by constantly pushing their biggest star to the side, they have completely failed at the second part of their job. They are winning medals, sure, but they are doing it at the expense of growing their audience and securing the sport's future. It really feels like USA Basketball is still fighting the Caitlin Clark movement with everything they have, stubbornly refusing to embrace the one player who has undeniably changed the game. People even point to past decisions like Diana Taurasi being on an Olympic team only to sit on the bench as proof that they prefer established names over new audience-driving talent. And the criticism gets uncomfortable with some suggesting a double standard against Clark, with whispers about her not checking the right boxes. Whether that is true or not, the perception alone is incredibly damaging. The bottom line is Caitlin Clark is the most global women's basketball player in existence, and to ignore her appeal is just self-sabotage. There is a strong feeling that people inside the league just can't stand that she is the main reason people are watching. People even think the new coach might be jealous of her success. The data doesn't lie. Viewership for Fever Games dropped over 50% after the first Olympic snub, leaving the most popular female athlete on the planet off. A promotional poster isn't a marketing choice. It is a catastrophic error. It just makes you ask, what are we doing here? The path to success is so obvious, but they seem to be intentionally fumbling it. The message has to be clear. If they leave Caitlin Clark off the final roster again, the world is going to explode. It will prove they have learned nothing, and the damage to women's basketball could be permanent.